Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to I Am the Hammer, the show in which we talk about all things Grey Knights. Yes, I know you are bored of playing Warpbane with 10-5-5 purifiers. You're bored of firing the odd little NDK into your list. You're bored of those 5 interceptors. You want something new and refreshing. Well, recently we went to the ITT, which is a huge teams tournament in the UK, and Mr. Ed here took something slightly different and went 5-0. And we
Indeed.
are here today to tell you all about it. Let's dive in. Okay, so Ed, how the devil are you, sir?
All the better for hearing your voice, Chris. I love being here and talking about Grey Knights. I've been here once to talk about a Grey Knight run, and I'm on here again, and it's
I
awesome.
know
Nice to
you're
be
not
back to
doing
my
too
roots a
bad.
little bit.
You're not doing too bad.
Yeah,
Um,
doing some stuff.
doing some things. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the list writing process. We'll obviously talk about the list itself. We're going to go through each
hmm
match, focusing kind of on the general macro strategy, how Ed approached the game, kind of I mean, they didn't last that long, to be fair, some of them. So, we're just kind of how he went by turn and what the general approach was, and then reflections and sort of what thoughts he has on the list moving forward. So, starting off then, so obviously this is a teams event. So,
hmm
what sort of role were you trying to fill for the team?
So I was trying to blunt people, obviously. So my plan was to bring this list. Obviously, it's a skew, so it has some good games too. But the main thing is we had Tom on Eldar, Chris on Raven Guard, and Alex on a nice CK list that can also get some decent pairings here and there.
Mhm.
And then we had Leon as Chaos Cults, which is a combat pressure matchup, which in certain matchups can, lay some hurt down and get some big differentials. So I was just basically in the mid ground, scrapping Lee and Alex really. So I was just going to get a pairing somewhere that, play against someone on their board and just try and keep it relatively stable whilst the other two bring in a decent score.
Yeah,
That was the general plan. However, it is a skew, so there are games that can swing up.
absolutely. And obviously, traditionally, we do see Grey Knights as that army that can blunt, can kind of just play into a lot of things. So yeah, traditionally, Grey Knights are kind of there to be able to take on lots of things. So what we'll do is we'll show the list now, just talk through it. To be honest, so
Mhm,
as Ed says, it is a bit of a skew. Okay, so we've got a librarian, we've got Crow, we've got 3 units of 5 strikes, we've got the humble rhino, we've got 3 units of 5 interceptors. And then we get to and those sorts of things we do see reasonably commonly. But then we've got something a bit different. So we've got 2 units of 5 purgation marines. 1 unit had silencers, 1 unit had side cannons. And then we've got
mhm,
the full 30 purifiers. So as
mhm,
you're building your list, you've decided, oh, you know what? How many bodies can I get in the list? Let's start working through that. So, what sort of
mhm.
iterations did you go through to get to this final result?
So effectively, when you get the core, you have to sort of work out how many points you can get with the amount of Marines that you want. So I want Crow and 10 purifiers. That's solid. I want to have the 30 purifiers in this list because the reroll wounds is very, very silly. Especially on top of the Warp Bane combination where you get the reroll wounds as well. These make for fantastic combat units, especially when you can come down in 6-inch charge. Having 3 units of 10 lets you have very high threat saturation and also dominate one side of the board. So you can 9-inch deep strike one, 6-inch deep strike another, a 6-inch deep strike charge from the one that's 6 inches away, save you reroll for that, and maybe even bang a 9. It's just sort of like, maybe.
Maybe.
And it creates a certain area, these areas of absolute dominating pressure. And obviously, 70 dudes with a 2-up save is not easy to shift for the best of times, especially into a few of the armies that you will see quite regularly in teams. So I found that they can play into those games quite well. And yeah, that's the general approach that I went for this list. Now, when it comes to the last little fine bits, this is the bit where the list changed quite a few times.
Yep.
So I was trying to find a way that I could have to 160 points ish left over. Like once I've got my men and Crow.
Mhm.
Because 80 point is a nice break point for 2 Libbies, maybe 2 Rhinos, just those flex bits in between. The other argument is you could try and actually just go for the full 75, but then you're sort of left with this weird amount of points left, where you've got like 30 odd points left. And that's kind of not ideal. You literally can't spend it. I've played with that a million times. You end up with 1980 points, even if you max out on the interceptors. And you don't really want to max out on the interceptors because 20 is good. You can make the argument for 20. Like another iteration of this was actually no pergs, and an extra unit of strikes, and then a 10-man interceptor. So basically, I had 4 strikes, no pergs, but I had 4 units of 10. Sorry, 3 units, so a unit of 10 interceptors and 2 just 5. So that unit of 10 going out and firing 40 storm bottle shots and going back in. Maybe
I
even
love
throwing a couple of.
it.
Yeah, I think actually weirdly in that unit, 2 flamers is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
two shooting pieces in that's pretty good because they can go out, shoot, and come back in. But at that point, you still need the rhino, so you still need to find a way to fit that in. So the way you probably do this is just drop the pergs, add a strike, make a 10-man. You still have your rhino, you still have your Libby. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the iteration I came to. But the way I came to this situation was I was like, right, let's try the rhino. Let's see where we're at. The rhino is exceptionally good in this list because you've got so many bodies. Having mech is always good. However, you don't want too many. I've seen people using like 2 or 3 razorbacks as well, and like 2 rhino, 2 razorback, all that sort of thing, trying to keep them safe from alphas and all that sort of thing. But the truth is, if people are alphaing you, generally it's like it's not the alphas that you're looking at aren't going to be the ones that are going to connect with the 30 purifiers. They're going to connect with your first wave. Your first wave are still 15 dudes with a 2-up save and cover, with access to an invulnerable save. If it purifies. So you've got this situation where you're trying to make your opponent not really want to alpha you. And if they do alpha you, generally speaking, even the sisters, it's going to be their first wave, which is going to be their 3 units of sanctifiers. Sanctifiers don't trade well into this, just because of the 2-up save, just throws their maths really badly. So basically, you're going to be in a situation where you're trying to get your first wave safe because they have 2-up saves. And once people sort of can't alpha you, then you can start playing the Grey Knight game, right? The issue is when you have Dread Knights, people can just send a wave 7 with a Fire Dragon unit in and just kill. Kill like 1 or 2 Dread Knights if you don't position them correctly. And then that sort of spirals out of control. Or kill your Storm Raven, etc., etc., etc. Whichever sort of variation of this that you want to run. So that's where the rhino comes in. So the rhino is good to protect yourself a little bit from a first turn alpha, but not skew into them too much, so you're not having too many. I think the rhino is great as well because you can put a unit of strikes in there. It has scout. It can come up to an area. The scouts get out and do an action or just do something or screen out an inch away from the wall, and then 10 interceptors jump in, or they jump out, shoot 40 shots, and then jump back in afterwards. And you just sort of end up, you basically start to dictate the pace of the game. Once a 10-man, what's like your pieces inside, or 2 units of 5 interceptors can fly out and start harassing units. Because this is the reason why I went for the 3 5-bands of interceptors instead. Gives you a few more trade pieces with the purgations as well, because there's still 5 dudes with a 2-up save, and having 2 units of 5 that can jump out effectively 15 inches and threaten areas where they're shooting in combat, or they can just both get out, shoot, and go both get back in. It's especially seeing as though they shoot, move, and then the other one shoots, moves. It means you can actually not have too much of a big space that you need to keep for your rhino to be able to do the exact same output with these 2 units of 5, right? Whereas with a 10-man, you need to leave yourself quite a large area to get everyone within 3. Whereas a 5-man, you can basically put them both in the same spot, and they can both just use the same spot. So you can have maximum amount of area utility in that big L in the middle, for example, on your ATC, and not have to worry too much about, having to go in certain areas, which is pretty good, and it lets you dictate where your intercepts can go a lot better. And then the purgations. The purgations are kind of where, it's big. This the reason why I settled on it is because they're 125 points, which lets me have the 160. So those are the sort of versions of the list that I went through before. And randomly, there was an iteration with 80. And it was literally an Inquisitor as a warlord and 80 dudes, which was fun.
Yeah. So obviously the Purgation Marines, when the book first came out, the general feeling was they're a waste of space. And obviously they've got the kind of slowing mechanic. So I guess the 2 questions are: 1, why did you decide on Purgation Marines? Was there any other reason apart from the fact they're 125? And then secondly, why did you go for 1 silencer unit and 1 side cannon unit?
Okay, so this basically the slow mechanic seems a bit boring on paper, until you can fire a storm bolter. Just 1 storm bolter into a unit of world eaters, so you're not going to touch for a turn, and they're going to go off and do some havoc. You've got some screens in between, and so they don't kill a guy, but they're -2 move, -2 charge. Then when they charge something that's valuable, you can make it -2 charge. So basically, you've got this combination of tech where they're -2 move, -4 to their charge roll.
Yeah.
This is insane. This is really, really useful. Now, obviously, they can hide behind a wall and come out, and then you don't have to worry about it, right? But on those instances, you have enough dictation of play to avoid the world eaters brick just running in and killing everything, especially on these boards, right? And if a Purifier squad or the strike squad is next to a 20 man, that 20 man is disappearing because you have a strike squad just sit in front. The Purifiers all shoot in. They kill a bunch. Well, this is mainly Crow squad. They kill a bunch, then they go back in. Then they blood surge into the strikes. Crow squad charges in, lifts the unit. Between the two, they'll just die. And then the other squad, you sit everything outside of 9. And when you deep strike, you put one but the thing you deep strike next to it like 9.1 away, so it has to go that way. And then you put all of your guns there, like all of your guns, and then you shoot them. If they want to blood surge, they cannot actually blood surge into anything. And you shoot between like your army that you can drop down. You can just do an insane amount of damage to that to a second 21. Obviously, I'm using world as an example here. As you can probably tell, this is one of the reasons why I went with the Grey Knights, because I imagine there's going to be quite a few world eaters there. But the tech pieces with the world eaters, with the perks, are that's literally the reason why they're there. And also, it's just some extra damage. But another reason, and it's the reason why I went for side cannon, one silencer, is the side cannons are good for damage too. So if you have like a unit of like knobs you want to kill, you can, because there's damage too, so which is great. The silencers are there for precision because they have precision on the data sheet.
Yeah.
Now people think that that's like that's fine, right? Until you realize how many characters, how many little squishy characters in units nowadays that want to just do an insane amount of damage, right? Like a good example of this is a Lord Exultant in the Emperor's Children. I killed one to turn turn 2 round 1 because he failed a charge. He didn't fail a charge. He was staging up somewhere, like behind his home ruin, and then one unit deep strikes 9 away. When you deep strikes 9 away, one unit deep strikes 6 away. The Lord was poking out at the back, so I could get a line with a purgation down the other side, and I just shot 4 silences into it. Like any characters that are just sort of left out, you're like, well, here's 16 saves or 18 saves, or however it is on average, because it's 3 hit re-rolling with sustained. Like it's a lot of shots.
And on
So
3 up save, it's just they go through, right?
Yep, exactly. And like if you get enough of them go through, you just kill the Lord, and if not, you severely hurt the Lord, and then that's pretty fun. And also the main thing is the precision works on Overwatch. So if you don't kill them, Overwatch with sustained and rerolls, and kill them, kill it anyway. Like it's fine. And this is the reason why I took the purgation, because number one, the slow tech is very good. Because also that piece, effectively that stage in the Emperor's Children game, the Lord was dead. That unit is now in nothing to me. It's just a load of AP1 attacks with -2 movement, -2 charge.
Yeah.
And it just shuts down entire like really killy little pieces that are really annoying. Or little things like if you see a cacophonist, you're like, I'd like to kill a cacophonist. That sounds fun. Let's do that. Because the math on that is slightly less, because I think it's like 12 wounds on average there, so it's less likely. But it's still a lot of saves, and also it's just another piece, because when you're leading into a skew like this, you don't want to lead into too many 10-mans, because I've got 3 10-man units per purifiers anyway. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to commit those too early, because that is how you lose games. Mm-hmm. So you want your first wave to be MSU and durable enough and annoying enough to kill, so that they have to overcommit, so that 30 pure criers can come off and kill a load of stuff, because their damage is crazy. So
Yeah, that's entirely fair. So let's kind of run down through the list. Was there a generic kind of obviously we'll get into it game by game, but was there what's the general approach with this list? What kind of did you send out early on? Was it very much a big push at a certain point list, or what was the general game plan?
The general game plan is to send out a first wave of interceptors and a scouting unit of strikes if it's on search and destroy, and effectively try and be annoying. So obviously this is also very game dependent, obviously, but I like to put a bit of pressure on my opponent turn 1 with units that especially if they've got combat units they need to clear me up with and all that sort of thing, that they're going to be sat in the open. So you're basically trying to provoke trades if you're trying to push a differential. If you don't provoke trades, you're going to just get a 10 or a 12. It's not really, it's still Grey Knights. You have to make something happen for the scores to be big. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen and it's going to be a 10-10. Mm-hmm. So, especially when people just play for a 10, because a lot of people just naturally do it. They're like, I'm playing for the 10. But that's when you just start to apply some pressure. Like a good example of this is the AdMech game with Matt. And that was a great game. And all I did was just send 3 units of interceptors and send a strike squad that scouted turn 1 and just kill and tag a load of stuff. And at that point, I'm like, cool. Now I've got dictation of the game. The purifiers come down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And obviously I killed. I think he literally had call on to 1 or 2 wounds and an infiltrator squad at the end. Unfortunately, he got some pretty good cards turn 5 and passed a battle shock on call and survived with call with against like I think it was 8 or 9 purified shooting, and I failed a 5-inch charge to try and kill him or out OC him. So call survived, unfortunately. If call died, it would have been like I think a 13 maybe. Actually, no, it would have been like a 14 because it was a 9. It was 9 points there, and he got an extra 2 points on overwhelming because of call. So yeah, it would have been like a 14 at that stage. So, but ultimately, in these scenarios, you just need to you basically need to push and save your purifiers for turn 2 or 3, and just try to put some pressure on your opponents, make them misposition. Make it like in the Admech game, there's an infiltrate that was on the profile because he piled in because he wanted to get more attacks. And at that point, I'm like, cool, I'll fall back with the interceptors. Now I can see that unit, 10 purifiers, and just kill like 9 out of 10 through Feel No Pain. And at that point, you're like, cool, that's fine. Now we've got like now we've killed some pieces that are worth more than the pieces that have gone in originally. Now we can start applying pressure. But your targets for this interceptor alpha, you can call it, like a soft alpha, is to kill screens. Like the screens that they're going to be using to stop you from doing the absolute violence, which is purifiers, that you need to kill them. So if they've got unless they give you like a really nice target, like if they just put both their world-eater bricks on the line on search and destroy, just go in and charge them with everything you can, tag and throw 622 at them until they die. But generally speaking, you want to go for the approach of, well, I'd like to apply pressure with my interceptors turn 1, kill like a decent amount of stuff, or kill like screens with each of the interceptors so that they can't screen me when I want to do my thing, and just be annoying. And also the positioning of where these are is super important. You don't want them like on their side of the home rune if you can help it. Like if you can make it so that like they're on like they're in an area that they have to put a unit into compromising positions. That's how you get the value out of this. If they can kill them for free from behind their wall, they're useless. That's a very important point.
Yeah, I think that's huge, isn't it? Because obviously, with the interceptors, like you do have the option of just sending it straight into your opponent's deployment zone and cool shooting and killing a little bit, but then you've just suddenly lost 390 points. And if that's not generating a fight back, then actually that's not ideal. So you don't want to actively run into their deployment zone and start punching stuff and shooting stuff. You kind of
Correct.
want to get into positions where you can kill stuff where they come out, so then you can hit them with the purifiers. Right.
Absolutely, it's very important to do those to have that pace of game, because if you don't, then you're going to be in positions where they can kill you for free from behind their walls, and all you've done is give it 390 points for a few things. But another main thing to remember here is tag. These guys are annoying as hell when they tag something because they have 2-up saves. So what you can do is just tag vehicles if they're there, tag like even it gets to the stage where if they don't have fallback shooting charge and marines, just tag redemptors because they'll live. Just go in, kill some scouts, tag a redemptor, cool. Just stay. It's just stuff like that, right? Because they're gonna die anyway. You don't mind giving it 1 or 2 that are easy kills for them, but like you want to provoke at least 2 of them to make them do something, right? Now, if you give up your pieces while doing this too easily, you are going to probably lose. You're going to give up like 400 points of stuff for free, which you do not want to do. But effectively, that's my first turn because you are most of the time going to trade down here. Is an important point. But the thing is, if they have no screens, you're going to win the game because the next layer of screens come out, you purgation them, and then now they're gone. Now you go, cool. Now I can now have complete dictation of like deep striking charges and damage with my 2 strikes, 2 purgation, 30 purifiers. That's still 50 bodies.
Yeah.
That's still 50 bodies, and 40 of them have 622. So it's a lot to sort of deal with from that perspective. So yeah, that's the general macro of the list. I think you try and do, but if you're playing on Crucible and stuff, at that point you try and sort of provoke some trades. So you have like one guy poking out on an objective, like on Terraform. I just Terraform with a strike squad and had like 2 dudes poking out, the rest going behind the wall. And he came out with some noise marines, shot them, killed one, and I killed the Rhino and the noise marines because noise marines just hate shooting at GK. They ignore cover, yes, but God, they've got 2-up saves and most of it's AP 1 and 2. So especially in the first few turns where they don't have 3 ones to wound, that maths ain't good for them.
Yeah.
Not good for them at all. And also GK is great into EC because they can limit the amount of pledges they get because they're 2-up saves and have a bunch of bodies, right? So they can really eke out that game to like a small win, so a small win territory normally, which is super fun. So yeah, that's the general macro.
Nice, lovely. Right. Well, you got a glimpse of Ed's ADHD there as he started hammering into game three.
Yeah, my bad.
Um,
I got
we'll
excited.
we'll go into the rounds now. So
Mhm.
round one played against Emperor's Children. So
Indeed.
in case people didn't know, this is UKTC terrain,
Mhm.
and you played on a medium board the whole time apart from the final round.
Indeed.
So we've got a map here. So you're playing into EC. So you said you think it's a reasonably okay matchup. It's a positive matchup for Grey Knights.
Yeah.
So kind of what was your game plan? Kind of what did you put on the left? What did you put on the right? What did you put in the middle? And then how did the first few turns go?
So generally speaking, in this sort of setup, I just try to set up my first layer that he has to do something about without Demon Princes really being able to activate properly. Like over on the left, I literally just didn't even bother terraforming the left objective. He had one piece there that come out and unterraform it, but I had some interceptors who could fly off and unterraform it back. I
Mhm.
wasn't too concerned.
Okay.
So from that perspective, I just sort of went, okay, I understand that you're gonna terraform your expansion, but I'm going to terraform mine, and I don't think you're going to take mine off me
Okay.
because they've got nothing fast enough to get onto that point. They've got nothing that advances in those actions. They've got nothing that you know can get onto that primary and terraform it. Like even in the middle, I didn't even bother terraforming the middle because I was like, I don't want to give up a piece yet. So I just inched away at everything and was like, well, I can terraform next turn and I'll score points for it, but you can terraform in your turn. I'll kill the piece that you terraform with, and then I'll terraform it, unless you overload the objective with stuff so that I can't unterraform it, but then I'm going to kill everything on the objective.
Yeah.
And basically he then sort of went, oh, I'm going to terraform my expansion and my middle objective. And I was like, brilliant, I'll kill the stuff on the objectives. Mine's still terraformed and a sticky now because your rhino didn't kill anything. And then I killed the rhino. And also his home objective, one of the mistakes he made, if you hover your mouse over like the back right corner of the home objective, if you have a mouse, but effectively he basically left a gap where I could 9-inch deep strike with a purifier unit, 9-inch deep strike with another purifier, sorry, 6-inch deep strike with another purifier unit, and he had a tormentor squad that he could heroic and then make me fight that unit, which is something that Kodra can do. So I just killed that unit with the 6-inch deep strike shooting,
Mhm.
charged the Lord, killed the Lord. Okay, so charged the Lord in the unit, killed the Lord in the unit, puts him down to a 0 primary. I've now got a sticky objective. I've now pushed that flank. I've now got I've also dropped another purifier squad on the left to kill the tormentors on the objective. I've unterraformed with the interceptors that went out, and the middle was terraformed by Rhino. Then at that point, I'm like, cool. Now I've got 3 terraforms. You have to unterraform me, and everything you put on the objectives will likely die. He had 2 demon princes. Basically, the story of demon princes in this matchup, I'm going to go through pretty quickly. They charge. They charge into something that isn't purifiers because I don't let them. They kill some. They do some mauls. They pile in some purifiers to attack them. They attack them a bit, kill like 3 or 4, whatever. Even that's max as well. Like it's probably more like 2 or 3. And then at that point you go, cool. I'll swing at you with a bunch of 6/2/2 attacks with reroll wounds. And then they go, cool. I'll take like 4 or 5 damage. Then you'll go, cool, now I'll do mortals at the end of the 5 phase, take D3 mortal wounds. I'll fall back, I'll grenade you, and shoot you with a bunch of stuff. Now you're dead. And that's effectively the story of these demon princes, right? That's just what happens to them. The -1 damage is great, but if they're taking D3 plus like D3 plus 3 mortals plus a bunch of attacks in combat, then a bunch of shooting, they just fall over. Like they fall over pretty quickly. Like, yes, like it's 6 to wound them with most of the stuff in the army. But when you've got 24, like 23 shots with 2, like with 3s to hit re-rolling and then 6 to wound re-rolling, that's like 6 or 7 saves at AP2 ignore cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like 3 or 4 fails, and that's on top of the stuff that we've already done to this demon prince. It's probably dead, and if it wants to AOC that's fine. It's still possible. It just dies anyway and then gets charged. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of ways to keep these demon princes honest. And also, there's also arguments sometimes we just leave the purifiers and come up with the demon princes. It can't fall back and charge the same unit, so it's not doing the mortals again if there was anything important. So at that point, you just sort of chill. And if you have a chance to charge a demon prince with 10 purifiers on an objective, you charge the demon prince with 10 purifiers on the objective because you do a bunch of damage, and now it can't fall back and charge that unit. So, and this is the sort of thing that I like was trying to provoke in this game. And my first, basically my soft alpha happened turn 2 here because of Terraform. because there's no point in terraforming turn 1, because at that point you're giving them ways to kill your terraform pieces, and then they unterraform the stuff that you terraform with, and then you're in a situation that you can't stop it. So that's how I approached this game. It went quite well by memory, and yeah. So and by the end of the game, it seemed like a pretty reasonable game, which was a 17-3 win for me.
Yeah, 17-3 win. Lovely. Good. Excellent. So that is the nasty terraform out of the way. Round 2, Cheeky, you had the fun time mirror of
Indeed.
Warpbane. I'm going to assume this is a slightly different list.
Yeah.
And this is on Purge. So the mirror is an interesting beast to try and take on, bit of a head mess. So how did this go?
So I went second. No. I went first. Sorry, I went first. He basically put a Grandmaster and 5 dudes in reserve, and I ran at him. I sent it and put everything 18.1 away. So no, I did go second because he put everything in the middle. So I had charges. So I went second. He put everything. He put a few pieces in the middle. I killed the Dread Knight on his expansion. I killed like a bunch of stuff. I actually banged the 9 and the 6 from the 2 units of 10 purifiers. He touched the the L next to his expansion objective to screen out the 9, but that meant that I could just charge. So I charged. He had the -2 available to him to make the charge harder, but I was just like, cool, declare it at the start of the charge phase, and I'll just choose the other one to charge.
Yeah.
And then I just got both charges, go in. I think I killed 20 Marines and a Dread Knight, and he still had all the stuff in the reserve that couldn't like really do much. Crow came out, got Overwatched, and killed 5 of them in his turn 2. And it just spiraled. Like at that point, it's just like, right, I have 70 dudes, you now have much less, and it just spiraled out of control. I'm playing against Ash Power here. He's a lovely guy. He's from the Swindon a lot, and we had a great game.
So, because I think one question people will have is, of a list like this, how do you deal with vehicles? Obviously, so you had some Dread Knights there. So, what sort of units? Was it purifiers on an objective to kill vehicles? Is that your only real approach in this list?
Well, purifiers on objectives, or spending the strat for the rerolls, or for the rerolls anyway, or the flamers with the AP1 ignore cover, because I've got 1 flamer squad in there that does damage as well. And also, you got to remember, like, if they're putting out a Dread Knight, there's not much else that goes out with it. If they want to give me 3 Dread Knights at the same time, my combat will murder them, like, really, really badly, because it's strength 6 AP2 2 damage with reroll wounds. Like, it'll just kill a Dread Knight. Like, that's no diff. And that's basically similar to what you see. People say, how do you deal with vehicles? Unless it's toughness 12, it is not a problem. That is basically my approach here. Because, like, if it's toughness 12, then sure, all of your dudes wound on 6s. And that is a miserable, miserable time. But generally speaking, you are going to kill any vehicle that is toughness 11 or less with 10 purifiers in combat with your roll wins most of the time, especially if it shoots on grenades on the way in. -1 damage throws the maths off a little bit with these winged demon princes, but they only have 10 wounds. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in this game, when it comes to, like, he put a Dread Knight on his expansion to so put Dread Knight on the objective, like effectively my expansion with the little Alpine thing, which then meant I could shoot it, and then I shot it with like some flamers, some purifiers, some silencers randomly. Because I'm on 5s to wound, like, why not? And that chipped off like 2 or 3 damage. Weirdly, and it's one of those. It's if you force enough saves into these areas, it's gonna die eventually. Like, you know, it's like, okay, if you look at it this way, if everyone fires a Stormbolter in my list, and some of them have better guns than Stormbolters, I'm gonna be firing, if I'm in rapid fire, 280 shots a turn with rerolls. Like, something's gonna die. Don't know what. Something's gonna die. Like, you know, and then I've got all the combat on top.
Your opponent's will to live.
Yeah. I'm just like, I was sat there like, take 5 saves, take 4 saves, take 6 saves, take 5 saves. I just like continued. I was like, there you go. Oh, you fell 2. Oh, you fell 1. Oh, you fell 1. And just, over the time, you're just like, oh, cool, that died. Oh, cool, that died. And eventually, basically, you just find that your opponent's army slowly evaporates to death by 1,000 cuts, which is super fun to do because, you know, it's just rolling all the dice, and that it did get a little bit tedious in this game. I will prove one. Like, firing storm bolts into 2-up saves takes your will to live away from you, to be fair. But we got through it together. We had a great game.
Nice, excellent. Good times. Right, round 3 then. So this was the round that we lost as a team
Boo.
against War Masters. So you played into Matt's Admech,
Indeed.
Hunter cohort. So hidden
Mhm.
supplies, Admech. You've got lots of shots. They've got lots of bodies. How did it go?
Well, he stopped my. I went first, which generally speaking is not the best for Grey Knights, but like I
It's not
feel
great
like
on
in this,
hidden supplies either, is it?
yeah, it's not grounded supplies. So I was on kill mat duty. That was my duty for the day.
Mhm.
And I was like, right, okay. So my strike scouted forward as much as they could because there's some infiltrators that like popped out, so I couldn't scout and stick in the middle. Rude.
Yeah.
But he did do that. And then so the strikes scouted forward, the interceptors flew forward. I can't remember what I killed. I killed 10 rangers. I killed 10 rangers. I think 5 infiltrators or something. And then another 5, and then another like 4 or 5 rust stalkers from one squad. And then tagged a bunch of stuff. Then they swung back, killed one of the units with the rust stalkers because I made a whoopsie. Because I thought it was a 5-man, but it was not. It was a 10-man. But that's fine. It all worked out fine. They were indeed tagged. And then at that stage, at that stage, he carried on. At that point, all my stuff staged up and ready to go in and try and push. The only mistake I made in this game is I should have thrown absolutely everything at him. I didn't because I wanted to save some pieces and I was scared of those chickens. But
Yeah.
on reflection of the game, I was like, wait, these chickens kill 10 purifiers. All of them kill 10 purifiers. And I'm like, oh, so why don't I just put 70 dudes in the middle of the board? They'll have the same defensive profile. Like, why not? And if he tags me, he dies. So I was like, oh, in the future reference, I think I just send it. And even if I go first and I've killed the stuff that I've killed and I've tagged the stuff that I've tagged and I have everything in the middle of the board, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the librarian was a hero here, just running around killing 5-mans on his own with his strength 8 AP 2 damage shots. And yeah, effectively here it was a back and forth game. He killed me a lot. I killed him a lot. I should have killed him more, but I just made a couple errors. And Matt played it really well, but I didn't kill Call as I mentioned earlier, which then meant to like an 11-point differential, which then pushed it from a 14-6 down to a 12-8, which is sad.
It's still good though.
Yeah,
To deal with the Admech, obviously Admech are on the rise at the moment. They're looking very strong.
they are. They're very
Um,
annoying.
yeah.
They're broken as hell, but they're
So
very good.
we would say the general approach, macro approach into Admech is to be really aggressive, except that you are going to
Super
lose some
aggressive.
stuff
Mm,
and just hit them with everything that's alive.
yeah, hyper aggressive, and kill all of the stuff.
Because
That's
if you
the
play
general
that, I mean, I know for myself, I'm a very passive player. If you play that little bitty tradey game, they've just got so much stuff, right, that they can just
yeah.
keep knocking you off primary,
Well,
controlling the space, and you just lose the game.
yeah, I think with my list, it's your game to win if you're using the GK into the AdMech here. Generally speaking, I think the only times that this can change is if someone's using like the Halo's Creed, 30 Rust Stalkers, 30 Infiltrators, combat skew, because that is annoying. You kill it, but it is annoying because those profiles are really good at killing Marines.
Yeah.
Like those Strength 6, Sustain 2, Crit 5 reroll hits, fucking reroll ones to wound, annoy, like just destroying units is very frustrating. So just bear that in mind when you play the AdMech. Not every AdMech list is going to be a comfy win, but this win did feel comfortable. It just didn't feel like a blowout. I feel like the maximum I get in this game is a 15. Really, if both players play the correct way, I think I just gave up a little bit of primary in a couple of areas. And I think if you play this a fair few times, it turns into like a 14-15 sort of thing.
Okay. Right, run 4. The team were a bit deflated, so unfortunately, poor round. 4 opponents did get a bit hammered here, and you played into Votan Needguard.
I
So
did.
now, the last time I remember you playing Votan was the last ITT, where you were playing Eldar, and that game
Mm,
didn't last very long. Did
no.
this game last very long?
No, not
No,
at all. Not at
no.
all. No. Unfortunately for basic, it's funny actually. I set up to play the usual game of Votan, like effectively index Votan, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I set up to play the usual game that I would play against Votan, and put out a unit of 5 interceptors. Set up the trading game, all that sort of thing. And then he shot his army, bar like the things in reserve, into 5 interceptors and didn't kill them. There was 2 left, and I was
Right.
like, what? Huh? Like, I was like, wait, don't you ignore cover on these? He was like, no. I was like,
No.
oh, don't. Oh, isn't this AP3? No, it's AP2. Oh, okay. And I was like, cool. Uppy, downy, 30 purifiers, advance everything into the middle of the board. I just ran everything at him. Like I had all my dudes like an inch away from his deployment zone on turn 2. I made the 6-inch charge with Crow. I made the 9-inch charge with the unit behind him, and just oh, it was rough. It was rough. He was a lovely lad though, and he seemed relatively new to the tournament scene. But he took it great, and he was basically just like, "This arm is awesome. I'm going to go play this at the next tournament I'm going to go to, and I'm really excited to use this and all that sort of thing." So that was good. We had a chat with him about the tech and how it works and all that sort of thing. But this is pretty bad for the Votan. This is pretty bad for the Votan. The land forts are annoying, but you don't need to kill it. You just ignore it because the damage isn't high enough that that your win condition has to be to kill it. And the berserkers are okay, but they're AB2. Like, it's fine. And so I just sort of kill everything around it, and then push one flank so that you can never screen me out, and then uppy downy and roll forward. And that's basically the general approach.
Nice. Lovely. So round 5, we have got World Eaters. So you had spoken about this and kind of the macro approach to this shortly. This is a heavy board, which at the time of recording has just become the new normal board in ITT. Very exciting.
So good.
So obviously this board is slightly different in as much as if you look at those big middle L's, they've got a 5-inch by 5-inch square below, just to help protect those shooting lanes into your deployment zone. You're playing into World Eaters. Did they have any Forge Fiends?
No.
No. So in which case, who cares? So how did this matchup go?
So effectively, this was he'd never played the Grey Knights before, which makes me happy, right? Whenever I go to a matchup and someone says, "Oh, I've never played against Warpbane Task Force before," you go, "Oh, cool,
Oh, wow.
this is great." And obviously, it doesn't mean you're going to gotcha them, by the way, guys. This just means that he doesn't understand the macro of the game as well as other players might. So, but effectively, I went first. I charged 15 interceptors and a strike squad into his big berserker bricks. And just like got as much combat in as I could. So I think I killed like 6 or 7 from one squad and killed like 4 or 5 from this squad. That was a squad that -1 damaged, but they were both tagged. Sorry, one was tagged, and then I kind of lost the other 2 units, but we'll ignore that and move on. One was meant to live, but they didn't decide to live. They decided to die instead, which was fair enough. I don't blame them. It's been hard times nowadays. I understand that it gets quite tiring to be.
Final game, right?
Yeah, it's really tiring. It's quite tiring to be a Grey Knight nowadays, and I understand that they get tired. Then he moved forward with a unit, moved forward with that unit, and tried to charge the Purify squad by landing on the second floor. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, all good, I understand. But the unit was so strung back, I wasn't too concerned because he could only fight on the rank in the front and the rank, and I also had a heroic to just absolutely like mess up with his pylons and be annoying. And just sit there with 5 strikes being like, yeah, you have to attack me, yay, that sort of thing. But he failed the charge because I managed to charged, because that's the strat that we have, right? So the purifiers went, no, we're pure, you're not. And they decided to fail the charge for me, which is nice. At that point, I had 2 bricks of welded in front of me, because the other brick then kills the stuff that's there in front of. So he's all 8-bound charges the there in front of, and that's all good. But that left a nice big gap in his deployment zone. So I uppy downy 10 purifiers with the flamers. I uppy downy a librarian, and I uppy downy the other unit 10 purifiers, because the other unit 10 purifiers was sat in front of the unit, so I didn't have to do anything, right? So I put unit strikes in front of the brick of Khorne berserkers in front of me, so that when they blood surge, they had to go into the strikes. Then I put the Crow squad behind them. Then I deep struck the 10 purifiers behind the other squad. Deep struck so exactly 9.1 away, and the strike squad that was closest to the blood surgeon squad in front of them was 9.2 away. So, and the guy that was 9.1 away, like 9.1 away from the guy that dropped down was closest to the character. So there's no other way that they can remove and not go the way that I want them to.
Yeah.
So effectively, then I shot like a bunch. Basically, at that point, I shoot a librarian, 20 purifiers, and some silencers into 20 dudes and a 20 dudes and a juggerlord, and they all just die because that unit's now Gone. Right, that unit is now out of my mind. The other squad, Crow Shot. I think because obviously, bear in mind, I've already lost 6 or 7 here. I think I killed like 12 or 13. They blood surge into the strikes. Crow charges because they're now closer, kills them all, including the character. And they were all dead. The exalted that charged the brick, the dudes that were that were tagging up the world eaters, got shot by some silencers and some cyclones and died. The demon prince got grenaded, and then they did fail the 6-inch charge for the random unit of strikes that went to try to go after a demon prince, which did give him some primary, which was annoying, but hey, it is what it is. But then the demon prince ran over and charged me. I piled in and I denied the primary the next turn. I did some mortals at the end of the fight phase a couple times, but the demon prince was refusing to die, as this is right, and died on turn 4 rather than like turn 2. Well, died on turn 4 rather than like turn 2 or 3, which was annoying, and it sort of pushed the score a bit closer. But ultimately, the end result here was like, the 2 bricks die, the 10 circus come out, trade in for 5 guys. They then die to more purifiers when they uppy downy again. And at that point, I've sticky 3 objectives. I'm holding more. He's holding 1. And at that point, I zeroed him twice, but he still denied me in a couple primary here and there. And it turned into like a 14-6.
Yeah.
And that's the general macro approach. General macro approach is berserkers don't like it when you charge them because they're only AP1 and can't do +1 AP.
Yeah.
Especially when you have 2 up saves. So if you just go, well, I'll charge you turn 1. If I tag both of you, then I'm going to kill both those bricks next turn.
Was the -1 damage an issue?
No, because you shoot them first. So my opponent -1 damaged once.
Okay.
That's it. Because the -1 damage isn't their issue. Their shooting is the issue. Because like whenever I shoot 10 dudes and crow, that's 14 to 15 dead.
Yeah.
That's nuts maths. And then when I charge you, -1 damage if you want, I will kill 4 dudes and a
Yeah,
character.
we'll get through the rest.
I will kill the rest. It's fine. If you want -1 damage, you can. And that's the thing. Like they always lose too much in the shooting, so that when they try to blood surge and be annoying and tag, or they try to exist with -1 damage, they don't have enough stuff to exist into 6/2/2 with reroll wounds. They just don't. There's not a world in which that happens, which is obviously very helpful for the GK. But the lad that I played here was really good as well. He had me worried for a smidge. Because if he made that charge with quite a big charge on the turn 1, it would have been quite bad. But luckily, the -2 saved me, which is great. So
Nice. Okay, interesting. Right, so there we go. 5-0, and the team finished 4-1, and when came 11th or something. So pretty good showing. So reflecting then on the event, what sort of things worked well, and is there anything that you didn't particularly find as valuable?
I would say that it was all pretty valuable
Okay.
because it all had a role.
Yep.
And all of the jobs and everything did its job really, really well, right? Like this is the thing: the purge is making -1, -2 move, -2 charge. The interceptors are great for first turn trade pieces or 12-inch move pieces just to be annoying. They can move out and shoot and go back in so that you can activate your hallowed ground easier, so you don't have to give up pieces. And the 30 purifiers is just amazing in this list. I don't think there's an argument here that you drop down to 25 so that you can trade a little bit more and then add like another unit of purgation or a unit of strikes or something here. But
You go up to the. Are you 2000 on the nose?
I believe so, yeah, because it's
Okay.
125 for it's
So you
125 for
can't.
purifiers and 125 for purgations.
Yeah, so you can't drop 5 purifiers to add on and have a 10 interceptors then. That's a shame.
No. I've had a look at that one already. As I say, there's many ways you can fit in the 20 interceptors. So the 20 interceptors if you wanted to. One of which is just drop purgation down to strikes. One of which is drop purifiers down to 5, get a strike squad, and then up the other one to drop purifiers, drop purgation down to strike squad, and then it frees up the points so that you can get the interceptors and still have quite a lot of pieces. But for me, the purifiers were MVP. 30 purifiers is ridiculously good. Like the damage is crazy. The reroll wounds is crazy. The special weapon shooting unit just does absolute bits. It's a fantastic Overwatch threat as well with those incinerators. Reroll 1s to wound if they're not on objective. Reroll all wounds if they are. Great for toughness 3. bodies if you want to overwatch them. 2s rerolling ones on overwatch is pretty foul. And even then, on top of that, from a standard unit purifier, you've got 10 shots with rerolls, 24 shots with without any special weapons. Sorry, 40 stormbolt shots with rerolls, 10 purifying flame shots with rerolls, which is still a crazy amount of shots. You're rolling 50 shots, which will hurt stuff. And most of the things that you want to overwatch, which will care about Overwatch, will not want to get overwatched with that. It's going to be scary. Even like 8 band, I was finding just getting hurt by Overwatch. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
like I had a home objective. I had what was it? The purgation with the side cannons, and they got overwatched. So the exalted got overwatched by the side cannons, and lost 2 dudes and one took 2 wounds. Like it was just like this is pretty good. And you just find that you have this situation going round and round and round where it's really hard for your opponent to catch up. So yeah, I think I would have every piece in this list. I would have personally. However, there is an argument to swap units round for preference. So again, drop the purgations down. Drop the purifiers down. And try and squeeze in some interceptors by swapping a purification for a strike. You just have to play with those last 20 to 20 points worth of leeway in terms of the squads that you choose to have. To squeeze in interceptors if you want that, or if you want to squeeze in an assassin, also very viable. The way you do that is like drop the strikes, either drop a strike squad, put in a Kallus, you've got 20 points, then up like maybe 2 of the strike squads with 2 interceptors and all that sort of thing. There's lots of little ways you can swap those last few points around. Kallus in this list is amazing. I just chose not to have it because I found that I was playing against a world it's pretty well anyway, so I didn't really need the Vect. So yeah, I think that's the general, that's what I would say. I think this list benefits from having a variety of the data sheets personally, because I think you've got a lot of abilities that then stack on top of each other that you can utilize and really weaponize against your opponent. As soon as you lose some of those abilities, or it all becomes sticky, or it all becomes move, shoot, move, you start to lose the versatility in this list, which will really help you to try and win games in general. So I would personally say changes. Maybe you don't need the Rhino. Maybe the call is just more damage and putting an extra Libby. Or maybe it's dropping the Libbies entirely and taking 75 and trying to find a way to spend those last 20 points. There's another version of the list where you had a Grandmaster. You could swap. You could where you could literally swap a strike squad out for a 110 point Grandmaster with Radiant Champion, which will go in and do 8 mortal wounds ish to something and hand 8 saves ish to something toughness 4, which is fantastic. And you could definitely use him to do that. I've used him as well. The only problem is I find it hard to deliver him places because he moves 5. So the only way you're really doing it is rapid ingressing and moving and charging, which is annoying in a world of reactive moves. So those are the things that I would say that you could probably use to some pretty fun effects and like other things to try. Another thing you could try is triple Libby. Triple Libby is very legit. Try to swap. You basically swap 2 strike squads out for 3 Libbies, which all produce D6 plus 3 blasts, 8 2/2 shots. Which a few of you disagreed with me on when I said that they were great in the video that me and Chris did, and now everyone's using them. So, so they are great. I would recommend them. I think I would personally swap the Rhino out for another Libby. I think they're very, very good, and they're just great into marine bodies, which you find a lot of in the meta nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Purifiers, is there an argument for a unit with like 4 flamers or something?
Yeah, that's what I have. I have 1 unit with 4 flamers. I think that's exactly what I would choose to have. I think 1 for an Overwatch threat is great, but then the rest having threat saturation with combat is probably
Is
what's
that
best.
Crow's unit, or do you put Crow with another unit?
It depends.
Okay.
It weirdly depends, because obviously if you're in a matchup where you want Crow to have maximum combat efficiency, like especially in combat matchups where you want Crow with 30 strength 6 AP 2 damage attacks, then you don't need to. And also the flames actually buff the one squad shooting wise quite a lot. So what you can do is basically not have Crow in the squad, then it makes the other squad that doesn't have flamers more like dangerous in shooting as well. So it splits the damage a little bit. But honestly, it depends. If you're in a game where the shooting's more important, I'd put Crow in the flamers. If you're in a game where the combat's more important, I'd put Crow in the combat. But obviously, this boils down to preference, guys. I will preface here, like it doesn't actually matter too much. I feel like you're going to have, as long as Crow is with 10 boys, he doesn't really.
He's happy.
care. You know what I mean? He doesn't really care. But I think that comes down to preference. Like if you want the flamer squad, then go for it. I've found more often than not, I was just putting him in combat guys because it makes that combat unit pretty dangerous in the shooting as well. But yeah, that's probably where I'd go.
Okay. And so final question. In terms of matchups, obviously this list is designed to play into a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any, and as we can see, it can play well into a lot of things. Are there any matchups you think this list doesn't work in?
I don't think it works into triple Gatling Despoiler Knight. I've been told it can, but I don't think so because it just dies over the course of 3 turns. Like your trade
Knight
pieces
picks
don't
up the,
trade.
yeah.
Yeah, your trade pieces don't trade. You have to massively overcommit every time you want to kill a knight, and I think you just die. So I think that's one matchup I would definitely avoid. Trying to think of other ones. Maybe Big Demons is bad. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I do feel like the other demons, bar the Great and Clean ones, evaporate. Like if I can kill the other ones, then I don't really care about the other one, like the big dude. Or I can at least play it to something pretty close, like because you can use walls. This existing threat doesn't really work. You can scream with 2-up saves, so they can't really shoot you. They have to charge you. They don't really have a shooting unit that will kill 5 men in activation. Even the Lord of Change will struggle. So I think all of these things are definitely contributing factors here. But I think basically toughness 12 or toughness 12 or a lot of vehicles that do a lot of 2 damage or a lot of monsters do a lot of 2 damage that you don't kill very easily without massively overcommitting. Or in the matchups that you do have to massively overcommit, it's as long as those things that you massively overcommit with don't kill it is the issue. Because the reason why I think like the big demons is probably a draw territory is because you still have 70 dudes with a 2-up save.
Sure.
Like sweet profiles you don't care about. Like the sweet profiles are AP 1 and 2 as a general rule. You don't really care about those. Like you can at least exist for long periods of time and create situations where it's really annoying for your opponent to try and actually get a big win against you. So I think you can probably draw it to amber it 5 to 8 sort of area. But I think even then it's not a horrendous matchup. What I will say is the CK one will decimate you. But you can if they misplace and give you a despoiler rather than a baby knight turn 1, and you kill a despoiler, well, now you've got it in. Now you're not getting shot by 3 despoilers. Now you're getting shot by 2, and now you might have a game. But that would require your CK opponent to think, oh, he can't kill this, and puts it forward, and then you promptly kill it afterwards. But it's unlikely. So I would say I wouldn't like the CK matchup normally.
Yeah, interesting. And obviously that therefore reflects that this list works well in singles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. I think the only thing you can, well, I will say, and this is the same with a lot of GK lists. This does seem like a dumb skew horde thing. However, it does take a lot of thought and so what I'm looking for, like it takes a lot of thought about each matchup. Like there is a lot of potential to play every matchup incredibly wrong. I played 2 matchups wrong. Like I technically played the Votan one wrong and the Admech one wrong. So like it didn't matter with the Votan one because I noticed turn 1 when he couldn't kill 5 dudes. But like if he just decided not to kill those dudes and just turtle up and screen, I wouldn't have sent again.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have known. I'd have still thought Votan were all Votan. But the thing is, it's the thing. You need to understand the levels of your durability in the games that you can push and the games that you cannot push. So it's understanding your opponent's armies and your own army to the point that you know how to use it effectively well, and also knowing when to use signature strikes, knowing when to apply pressure to certain areas of the board, where to apply that pressure, how to position your models very effectively to try and provoke situations where they're stood on terrain and all that sort of thing, so that they can get shot back and all that sort of thing. All of these are very big contributing factors into making this list work. And if you miss out or skimp out on any of them, then it's going to probably go quite wrong.
Yeah.
So I would say is anyone who's planning to take this, get reps, because I didn't have any reps with it. And luckily I've played GK before, so it was fine. But I would recommend reps on this sort of list to make sure that you don't make the mistakes that I did at the event.
And some sort of insanity to want to paint that amount of models in basically a week, hey Ed?
Well, technically a day, right? I actually started painting at 5 p.m. on the Friday because I spent 12 hours building them.
Yeah.
and converting them and making them all look nice and like cleaned up and stuff. So I just went base colors and NMM, base colors on the MMM, second layer highlights, and then we'll call it done for today. And I'll revisit these at some stage.
One day.
So yeah, one day, one day, one day.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the general approach of the list. I think it will work in singles, but as I say, I will preface that it's not as simple. Walk
No,
forward to this.
100%.
It's still got thought behind it. It's still every choice with the list is deliberate. So I wouldn't skimp out on the abilities from the certain years that I've taken. They're all there for a reason. And if you're going to skew, don't just take 60 strikes. It doesn't work. Trust me, I've tried it. Take the variety. It's more
Yeah.
fun.
Well, there you go, guys. Hopefully that's been informative. And we look forward to someone else taking it to a GT win. And thanking Ed. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your experiences of Grey Knights at the moment. If you're not a subscriber, and about half of you who watch these videos don't subscribe, well, we do regular Grey Knight content, amongst other things. We've got a really active Discord with nearly 1,000 people in. So come and join the chat there. We have lots of membership options as well, including coaching. Both Ed and myself do coaching. So if you're interested, then just drop us a message through Discord, Instagram, Facebook. It's all 6++ Gaming. We even have a website, 6++gaming.com. And I'll be back next time to reveal how I got on trying out Augorium Task Force, which is a incredibly high quality detachment that I'm going to give a run out at an RTT. And I'll talk about that next time. But for now, thank you very much, Edward.
No problem, sir. It was a pleasure as always.
And we will see you again next time. Take care.